A clip has resurfaced where people are saying that V has admitted that he's part of the LGBT community. We also have people talking about a licking of lips clip, and then we have people talking about the label and what they've done recently, and them being responsible for a lot of strange things happening. So Dumplings, is Dave Desai. Let's get into it. There's been a lot of commotion going on with how people believe the label is promoting their artists. And this comes as a problem because they believe that when BTS comes back from the military, their promotion might even be as lackluster as some of the other artists and how they're getting promoted right now. And when I say lackluster, this is of course just an opinion that these people have. To me personally, it seems like everything is going as planned. I want to get into the particular style of promotion that seems to be controversial, but I also want to set everyone's expectations with music and just the general direction of art right now. People get upset when they notice that their favorite artist is getting less views than they normally do. However, that's just the nature of business, and that's the nature of the industry in general, because there are ups and downs to when people listen to music and when people stream and just overall what their listening patterns are. Obviously, artists expect an increase in streams when it's summertime because they know that people, especially students and the younger crowd, are at home and can listen to the music. They also know that their songs would likely be played in clubs. Everyone would be out during the summer and in clubs, and just overall there's a lot more summer hits than there are winter ones. But also some artists also have seasons where some of their music hits and other times it doesn't. And so you have to keep this in mind when judging whether an artist is getting good promotion or not. You can't just be judging it based off of the number of views. Now, the specific promotion style is particularly controversial because a lot of people believe that the label is only using TikTok as a means of promotion. So what they'll do is they'll have their artists go onto the platform and just make a lot of silly videos, dance challenges, singing challenges, whatever it is. And they hope that it catches on. Other people start doing it, or that it goes viral and they get a lot of exposure for their music. Typically, this is done either after the song is released or before to hype up the release. This, of course, gets controversial as people believe that this is the label's sole and only method that they use to promote music. And they even believe that some artists will overpost seemingly like they're trying to hit a quota. Like the label will say you need to do 20 challenges and they're posting as many as possible just to get it all out. Of course, this is just a feeling that people have because they feel like there's a lot more being posted than what feels natural. However, I definitely believe TikTok and other social media platforms are a huge part of promotion nowadays. I don't believe that is the only thing. The fact that these artists are getting interviews, the fact that they are sometimes being on variety shows, the fact that their music is even played on the radio are all things that the label is responsible for doing. And the fact of the matter is those things are being done with other artists in the label. So they're not just relying on social media promotion. And these labels know very well to not put all their eggs in the social media basket. One of the reasons why is because when you start doing that, the artist then becomes associated with an influencer, not as a celebrity. The last thing you want your artist to do in terms of branding is for them to be associated as an influencer. But also I will say that the groups doing TikToks and hopefully even seeing the BTS boys when they come out of the military do them is very exciting. I think we should be more excited to see more of these things rather than try to shame them or see it as less than. Because one of the very cool things that these types of challenges can do is allow for collaborations. So the boys will be able to collaborate with people that they normally wouldn't be able to or wouldn't be able to put in an album, but then would be able to do a dance challenge with, let's say. And of course, who actually needs all this promotion when the social media platforms will trend and create their own content with their own narrative, even if the boys sit around and do nothing. There was recently a clip that went super viral where it appeared like all of the boys were doing a live stream, and when JK was entering the frame or coming into the stream, people noticed that V seemingly was extremely eager to look at him, if you will. He looked like he was staring JK down, he was licking his lips, he was doing all that jazz. Now I'm gonna say something that might be a little bit controversial, but you know, it's just us girls here, so let's talk about it. Personally, for me, I've noticed straight men to be a lot more flirty than gay men. And the thing is, a lot of these straight men are obviously not interested in other men, but they will lick their lips or look like into their eyes and be flirty or talk really close. I've seen a lot where straight men will talk within inches of my face. And so I'm not sitting here saying that he is necessarily straight, but I definitely want to say that we can't rule that out as an option. So I don't like it when people make assumptions, so I'm trying to put the other idea out there as well. But these are the types of things that I find very interesting because the community is very open to the idea of making content like this, putting it out there and kind of having their own narrative. So a lot of people within the shipping community were really excited to see this and were sharing it as if they felt it was proof. And I've said so before, I have no problem with how the boys get publicity and get more attention. The majority of the attention that I see online happens to be ships, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of their sales actually came from that as well. So it gets the boys' names out there, it gets the boys more money. I have no problem with that at all. Of course, I don't particularly think that this exposes anything or this really does anything other than it kind of being a funny video that people can talk about. But of course, more content like this will keep the community talking, will keep the community guessing, and it feeds a community that likes to talk about this stuff. So I think it's really cool. It obviously feeds me as well, as I like to talk about it as well. But this isn't it, as there's a lot more content that exists out there, which I think is absolutely crazy. One of which is, of course, people talking about the fact that V has referenced a gay movie and film, and a lot of people wonder why he has referenced this thing. So if you have no idea what's going on, let's talk about it a little bit. I believe this was not too long ago where V was on a live stream and he actually recommended or mentioned that his favorite show was Call Me By Your Name. If you're part of the LGBT community, you likely know this show as it went really viral within that community and has since then exceeded that community. Surprisingly, it's an indie film and it had this huge impact. I'm sure it made way more money than they thought it was going to make. It being an indie film and it being a film that isn't necessarily worried about pleasing investors or pleasing different movie theaters to allow it to be aired, it was a very raunchy, very full-out movie. It was not very much censored. V has since then learned some of the songs and has played that on piano for us and posted that. And then, of course, as I said, he recommended the show as well as to tell people to watch it. And I don't really know what happened because the show started trending again and people started talking about it in relation to the fact that V had recommended it. Or perhaps the show was trending due to something that happened and then people took the show and was like, oh right, V talked about this. I don't really know what exactly happens. I can't scroll that far down to the bottom of the hashtag to find it. However, there was a scene in that movie that got a lot of people talking. So Timothée Chalamet, who was in the movie, was playing a gay character. Interestingly enough, I don't think he is gay, but perhaps bi. We actually have no idea, but he is dating a woman right now, and that woman is believed to be Kylie Jenner. However, it was believed that one of the scenes that he did was during a gay kissing scene, and allegedly he did decide to improvise what he did, which was lick the guy on the lips. And of course, if anyone finds this uncomfortable, I'm kind of sorry that this is being shown. However, a lot of people were talking about this specific moment to say, wow, V really enjoyed this movie. And not only that, he allegedly watched it multiple times. So people were saying that he sat there and he actually watched these scenes multiple times, scenes in which could make people uncomfortable. And I don't mean necessarily uncomfortable because it's gay. Well, I do think that that is a reason why people would be uncomfortable. I just think this type of kissing would make anyone uncomfortable. And people were implying that he might have done something like this. He might have been bi-curious or curious in general about what it would be like to be with a guy. And so he kind of watched it multiple times. Of course, there are many ways to answer this. Just because he might like this movie and there's a scene like this doesn't mean that he's actually participating in anything like this. And it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that he is obviously a huge supporter. Like, that's all we can realistically take from this. Anything else beyond that would be speculation. And then, of course, I also wanted to add something that is just my personal speculation and definitely not facts. If he was curious or curious about what it would be like to be with a guy, I think that this would be very normal. I think everyone should question their sexuality at least once or twice in their life. And there are genuinely people who, the moment they think about being with the same gender, they're immediately like, you know what, that's not for me. But if you're someone who has not thought about it or thought about it and then kind of enjoys the idea, then perhaps this is something that you should explore. You only live once, and it's not great to suppress a side of you that you may not have experienced. I say this also to say that if we had ever questioned something like that, I wouldn't be surprised, nor would I find it shocking, because I think that this is something that everyone should question about themselves at least once. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. And thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.